We know that all forces are related to one another and that they are, as modern science explains, the manifestations of the same eternal energy, or the infinite substance. From this one source, all mental and physical phenomena and material forces have come into existence and have evolved into various forms and shapes. This is monism. The monistic thinkers of the present age, like Ernst Haeckel and others, admit this one eternal substance as the source of mind, matter, and all forces. They also accept the great truth, which has always been taught by Vedanta, that from that infinite substance or Brahman, the absolute being, have evolved life force or prana, mind, all the mental activities, and the sense powers, which are included in the meaning of the term spirit or subject on the one hand, and on the other, space or ether, and all gaseous, liquid, and solid objects which are understood by matter. Matter in its simplest state can be reduced to the same infinite substance, Brahman, which forms the background of mind or spirit. Therefore, Vedanta teaches that the eternal substance is both the material and the efficient cause of the universe. Although it is one, still it appears as many by its inscrutable power, known in Vedanta as Maya. This world is not made up of dead matter alone. It is not the product of the combination of those minute particles called atoms. Until lately, the Western physicists, chemists, and other materialists believed that these atoms were indivisible units floating in infinite space, attracting and repelling one another, mechanically producing the elements of nature and creating the phenomenal world. But now, through the application of electricity, J.J. Thomson, the great English scientist, has proved that the so-called indivisible atoms can be subdivided into still finer electrons, which are nothing but the force centers of these ancient Hindu scientists. If atoms are made up of electrons and electrons are but force centers, where do they exist? They exist in that primordial ocean of infinite substance or Brahman, the receptacle of the eternal energy, which is in turn the mother of all forces. Thus, we can understand how matter and force are related to the one substance or Brahman. The objective side of that substance appears as matter, and the subjective side as spirit. I have already said that it is a scientific truth that matter is indestructible and uncreatable. So is force. Matter and force can be transformed into various manifestations, but can never be destroyed. Now the question rises, if the one half of the world or objective matter and force be uncreatable and indestructible, then what is the nature of spirit? Is it creatable and destructible? If the objective half of the universe be uncreatable and indestructible, how can the other half, the subjective mind or spirit, be creatable and destructible? That is impossible. Spirit or mind in its simplest form is equally uncreated and indestructible. If matter or object be eternal, then the spirit or subject must also be eternal to make it possible for the object to be eternal. Who will know that matter and force are eternal if the spirit or subject be not equally eternal? This point has been overlooked by most of the eminent thinkers and scientists of different countries. The eternality of matter and force or energy presupposes the eternality of spirit or mind. If the one falls, both will disappear. Therefore, the ultimate analysis of spirit and matter shows that both are uncreatable, indestructible, and eternal. If the one pole of a magnet be eternal, the other pole must necessarily be eternal. Furthermore, the neutral point where both meet must also be eternal. This universe is like a gigantic magnet, one pole of which is matter and the other is spirit, while the neutral point is the absolute substance. For this reason, these three, matter, spirit, and Brahman, are eternal. In Vedanta, spirit is called the Atman, the cognizer, the perceiver, and the subject. It is our true self. It existed in the eternal past and will continue to exist in the eternal future. Nothing can destroy it. The phenomenal world, which is the object of sense perception, may change from one form into another, but the Atman or self will never change. It is absolutely unchangeable. Weapons cannot pierce it, water cannot moisten it, fire cannot burn it, nor can the air dry it. It is indissoluble, immutable, and immortal substance. It is not destroyed at the time of death. Death is the property of everything within the realm of time and space. All objects that have form are subject to death. Birth is followed by death. That which is born must die. Our body will die because it has its birth and exists in space and time. But the Atman or spirit cannot die, because it was never born and is beyond space and time. If you try to think of the birth of your spirit, you will never be able to find an absolute beginning. Therefore, Atman is beginningless and endless. Everything which can be perceived by our senses will change and pass away, while the Atman or spirit will remain forever. Here it may be asked whether spirit is one or many. The same question may be asked of matter. Is matter one or many? We have seen that matter as objective substance is one, although it appears as many on account of its manifestations within space and time. Similarly, says Vedanta, there is one eternal spirit, or subject of the universe, of which the individual spirits or egos are but so many manifestations. They are but parts of one stupendous whole or universal spirit or God. God is the eternal subject or knower of the world. He is the cosmic ego, the sum total of all individual spirits or egos and more. He is the one infinite being, the eternal ocean which contains so many eddies or souls. The cosmic ego or God is the firstborn Lord of the universe. He is the first and highest manifestation of the absolute substance or Brahman. He is the material and the efficient cause of all phenomena. He is the projector of evolution. He differentiates subject from object, spirit or ego from matter or non-ego. In him everything exists. Through him all beings live, and into him they return in the end. He is more powerful than all the individual spirits together. We possess small powers. As our knowledge is limited, so are our powers. But God is the one substance whose power is unlimited. He dwells everywhere. He forms the background of our individual spirit and possesses eternal knowledge. He is the soul of our souls. We should meditate on him and worship him. Then we shall understand the relation between spirit and matter. Then we shall understand the relation between spirit and matter. He is the one eternal being in the midst of all non-eternal forms and names. He is the one source of intelligence in the midst of insentient matter. He makes that one substance appear as many and fulfills all desires dwelling within the hearts of all creatures. Whosoever realizes him in his soul attains to eternal bliss even in this life.